Site-42, now broadcasting. Can you hear us? This is Site-42. This is researcher Theron Sherman. Foundation staff, can you read? We are broadcasting. Please make sure that you like and share from your encrypted YouTube accounts. Your Foundation offered encrypted YouTube account, Steve. All right, we are going live in 3, 2, 1. Woo! Hey there, Foundation staff. This is Sherman, but you can call me Sherm. Welcome to another Anomalous Broadcast from Site-42. For anybody unfamiliar with our show, the rundown goes like this. Number 1, my hair gets in the way. B, I read you an SCP document or tale, something from the wiki. C, I open up the floor to the community to discuss what we've read. I check the YouTube chat, we answer questions. We are often visited by the SCP authors, staff, and fans. And if we're lucky, the author of the article themselves shows up to share some insight. Remember that if you would like to join the conversation yourself, I will be monitoring the chat in between chapters and answering questions, as will my guest. Also note, I thank you ahead of time, Cyan, for the $5 super chat. I caught that in the pre-show. Also remember that if you enjoy your request for Among Us is now on the priority list because you were essentially a 1-month patron at that point. Also remember that if you enjoy the show, leave a like and comment to let us know, subscribe and hit the bell, and if you really want to help us out, become a patron at patreon.com/site42. Before we get into tonight's show, I've got a quick sponsor to show off for you guys. We are being sponsored tonight by CellArt. CellArt is a couple of SCP artists who made SCP playing cards. They are very pretty in the shiny box. This is the back of the box. You can see the glimmering SCP Foundation logo. I'm just going to show you the cards real quick because I don't want to take all day. But this is the back of the cards. I think this is my favorite part, is the back of the cards with the secure, contain, protect letters and the Foundation logo and little blood spatters. And then the Jokers, we have cards like this. We have the other Joker is right there. And then Raid Shadow Legends. That's us tonight. And then there's SCPs on the Jacks, the Queens, and the Kings. And then you've got logos for all of the hearts. All of the different suits have different SCPs on them. So like, I'll show you, like, that's what a regular card looks like. And that is what there's Plague Boy. I know that's what you want here. It's Plague Boy, SCP-049. So that is our sponsor for tonight. If you want to get a deck for yourself, the link is at the top of the description. Now that the sponsorship by not Raid Shadow Legends is over, welcome to tonight's show. We are doing SCP-5175, titled, and I'm not kidding you, in all caps, Death Knife, by author J Dune. And lucky for us, Dune has decided to join the show tonight, so let me unmute him and bring him on. How do you do, Dune?
Well, considering we're about to read Death Knife, I think I'm doing great. I don't know if you're ready for it.
I am definitely...
I don't know if I'm ready for it.
I am ready enough that I came in costume. This hoodie, you will see why it's very important soon, everybody there. Oh, Dune, I didn't tell you ahead of time. You do know to go pull up a second browser for YouTube so you can see the chat too, right?
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Fantastic. Do you have anything you want to say to the people before we suggest them to Death Knife?
If you haven't read this article yet, you are definitely not prepared. That's all I have to say.
All right. We are going to start this from the top. I am ready. Dune is going to do the interview logs with me, so I'm going to get us started. Item number, SCP-5175. Clearance level, 3. Container class, safe. Secondary class, none. Disruption class, Kennick. Risk class, danger. There's so many of those now. Special containment procedures. SCP-5175 is to be contained in I can't say the word anomalous tonight. SCP-5175 is to be contained in Anomalous Item Locker 5175. Oh, this is a good start, guys. located at Area 179. Due to the symbiotic relationship between SCP-5175 and Person of Interest 3445, as well as the beneficial nature of the anomaly, Person of Interest 3445 has been integrated into the Foundation's internal command structure. Mobile Task Force Omega 5, oh god. Mobile Task Force Omega 5, codename Damien's Angels, has been created to assist Person of Interest 3445 in their missions, under the auspices of Project Secret Shopper. Upon authorization by Mobile Task Force Lieutenant Samuel D'Angelo, Person of Interest 3445 is to retrieve SCP-5175 for the purposes of carrying out missions assigned to them. Description: SCP-5175 is an ornate knife of Moroccan design and unknown origin. SCP-5175 displays no anomalous abilities when handled by an individual that is not symbiotically bound to the object. The criteria by which SCP-5175 becomes bound to a user is apparently under the discretion and personal favor of SCP-5175-1. Presently, Person of Interest 3445 is the only individual capable of handling SCP-5175 in a way that manifests its anomalous properties. When handled by its host, SCP-5175 is capable of removing any form of life from baseline reality upon laceration. This effect has proven itself to be applicable to incorporeal beings who would otherwise have no physical presence. Upon piercing a target, a black mist will begin to emanate from the object. This mist will envelop the target, causing them to disappear. According to unverifiable information provided by SCP-5175-1 and Person of Interest 3445, victims of SCP-5175 are transported to an unknown extra-dimensional space that has been colloquially referred to as the Realm of Unsaved Souls, Land of Forsaken Suffering, and Kanashi Ringo no Akuma no Ryoki. Footnote, this roughly translates to Demon Realm for Bad Apples. And at this point, I'm going to note this empty space next to my body because we are pulling up pictures of, boom, the Death Knife. And B, at Person of Interest 3445, who we will be introduced to a little more later. SCP-5175-1 is a being that claims to be the consciousness of Kuroitanken Hanzo, a 12th century Japanese samurai. I'm trying my best with the Japanese. When SCP-5175 is handled by its host, SCP-5175-1 will manifest itself as an animate, ethereal figure that hovers above or near the subject. SCP-5175-1's physical appearance is that of a human skeleton wearing a suit of black and purple Domeru armor. SCP-5175-1's silhouette constantly emanates black mist, similar to the vapor produced by the object itself. SCP-5175-1 is capable of communicating with its host, regardless of apparent language barriers. Likewise, a host is capable of comprehension of SCP-5175-1's speech, despite being spoken to in Chuko Nihongo, a dialect of 12th century Japanese. SCP-5175-1 is capable of interacting with physical objects. Person of Interest 3445 is Damien Lawrence Woodcock, a resident of Scranton, Pennsylvania. Person of Interest 3445 was a security officer who had been employed for 8 years at the Marketplace at Steamtown, a shopping mall in Scranton. Person of Interest 3445 exhibits no anomalous characteristics, but is considered integral to the containment and handling of SCP-5175 due to being the only individual SCP-5175-1 agrees to comply with. Person of Interest 3445 has been integrated as a Foundation employee as a part of Project Secret Shopper, and currently operates a specialized Foundation agent, Foundation agent. See addenda for further detail. I gotta pause and drink something for a moment just because you hear me stuttering over my words so much. I'm just so excited. This is such good malarkey. I'm just as thrilled as everyone in the chat. Okay, here we go. Addendum 51751. Discovery. Access Addendum. Access granted. According to Person of Interest 3445's personal accounts, SCP-5175 was discovered on August 3rd, 2009. Why was it discovered on my birthday? I mean, not in 2009. I'm not 11 years old, but still, coincidence. At Cutlery Collection, a storefront located at the marketplace that specializes in the sale of edged weapons. Person of Interest 3445 reported hearing the voice of SCP-5175-1, urging him to enter the store and purchase the object. Over a period of 2 months, Person of Interest 3445 became familiar with handling SCP-5175 through the construction of a training ground in the woods behind his parents' residence. As such, Person of Interest 3445 has attained cursory skill in knife combat. It is during this time period in which Person of Interest 3445 and SCP-5175-1 developed their relationship. On October 27th, 2009, Person of Interest 3445 attempted to use SCP-5175 in an altercation with a shoplifter, resulting in the appearance of SCP-5175-1. While the event occurred in public, the low traffic of the shopping center resulted in only a handful of witnesses. Amnestics were administered as appropriate, and Person of Interest 3445 was detained by local law enforcement before being brought into Foundation custody. Addendum 51752. Interview Log. Access Addendum. Access granted. Date: October 27, 2009. Begin log. You ready, Dune?
I am ready.
Hold on, just let me pop the hood.
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
All right. Let's get this over with.
As
All
we
right.
must.
You look a little tense, Mr. Woodcock. There's a cooler out back if you need a water or something. I understand this is a lot to take in at once.
This is some Men in Black shit. Please, all I'm asking is for an easy hearing. I can't do mind games. I can't do another interrogation.
You mind if I call you Damien? Damien, we're not here to arrest you. That already happened, and you're clean, at least with the law. We just want to ask you some questions.
Did you call my parents?
No, we didn't call your parents.
Oh, thank God. Okay. I guess you want to know about Death Knife, right? I'm assuming the Ghost Knife is why the Men in Black would kidnap me. You want the Kai version or the Z version?
What?
Short or long, it's a reference, God.
Oh, right, okay. References aren't my strong suit. From the beginning, please. Take as much time as you need.
Alright, so I'm a mall security guard. Have been for the past 8 years. I've always had an interest in, weapons and stuff. I have my uncle's katana hanging over my bed, and I do pretty cool knife tricks sometimes. Watch this. SCP-3445, or Person of Interest 3445, brandishes an ordinary kitchen knife from his sweater pocket and stabs it into the table.
What? Where the hell did you get that? I thought they frisked you.
Backup knife. I always keep it on me. I can make it balance on any surface. Person of Interest 3445 removes his hand from the knife. It stands upright.
Can you just continue the story?
Anyways, yeah. I like weapons and stuff. There's this really cool store at the mall called Cutlery Collection. I make sure to check every shipment they get in to see if they have anything I want. I was doing that, and I saw this sick Japanese knife. I heard this voice in my head telling me that I had the resolve of a warrior, and that I had to buy it. I freaked out really bad, but it was so badass. Like something out of the first chapter of a manga. That's Japanese for...
I'm aware, Damien.
Oh, what have you read?
No, Please, continue.
All right, so I bought it. When I got home, the voice told me to grip the knife in a certain way. Like this. Person of Interest 3445 picks up the knife from the table and gestures using it. And then this fucking metal skeleton guy wearing shinobi armor came out. If you've ever seen JoJo, he's kind of like a stand. He told me his name was Hanzo, and he was an ancient samurai ghost. He said he chose me as a host because of my insatiable bloodlust, knowledge of his culture, military background, and years of combat experience. So goddamn cool.
Your service record says you went AWOL 1 month into basic training.
You can learn a lot in a month.
Years of combat experience?
Well, I eventually figured out he was talking about how good I am at certain video games. Like, you ever hear of Assassin's Creed? I learned a lot of street tactics from that. I've also done Legendary on Halo 3 4 times. I showed him my skills for a week straight, just playing games and watching anime together. He thought it was magic, that I was fighting in other worlds or something. I kind of just let him think that because it was kind of badass.
Right. Can you elaborate more on this entity?
Hanzo's like 800 years old or something. After he was confident enough that I was a suitable host, he told me his tragic backstory. A witch woman from a foreign land came to Japan a long time ago and started blowing shit up with her magic. So Hanzo and a bunch of his ninja students had to fight her, but she killed them all. Hanzo felt so guilty that he begged her to kill him on the spot. Instead, she sealed his soul to her cursed blade and locked it away in a chest. Things move over the years, blah, 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 and eventually, Death Knife ends up at the mall I work at.
And I'm assuming Death Knife is the name of the blade?
Came up with it myself. It's spelled in all caps, so put that on your clipboard. I call it that because the blade completely kills anything that touches completely.
And let me clarify, you haven't used the object prior to today's incident, right?
Hanzo told me what it would do, but no, I never used it before today. He said that whoever is pierced by the blade is sent to the land of the Forsaken Suffering, like the Shadow Realm from Yu-Gi-Oh! It's a forsaken dimension of shadows and suffering. If his blade doesn't relinquish 1 million lives to the realm of unsaved souls, he'll never be free from his metal prison. He needed my help to do that, and to reclaim his honor by teaching a student again.
And how did you feel about this?
I thought it was a badass backstory and all, but it was way too much for me. 1 million souls is a lot of souls, and I genuinely don't have time to do that. I tried to tell him I could, teach him to be good at Space Hulk instead, but he was insistent on training me. I think it was to make up for the students he failed hundreds of years ago.
And you accepted this entity's training?
Can we talk about this more tomorrow? I'm really tired.
Sure, Damien. My team's gonna run some tests on the object anyways. We'll pick up where we left off in the morning.
Can I have my phone back?
I'm afraid not. Ange, we're done. You can put away the Class Bs. We won't need them.
I have to get a daily login bonus. Can I have it back for just a second?
Yep, we're done for the night. Oh, and hand over the backup knife on the way out.
End log. Oh, researcher's note. Do you want to do the researcher's note? You want me to take that?
You can take it.
Researcher's note. Subject demonstrated an almost unheard of level of acceptance and confidence despite being an ordinary citizen in an anomalous situation. I'm not sure whether to attribute it to stupidity or legitimate fortitude. Still, there's a slight issue. Considering Person of Interest 3445 was in possession of SCP-5175 for a period over 2 months, as well as corresponding with SCP-5175-1 during that time, regular amnestics aren't going to work here. Subject is currently being detained in cell C007 until a specialized amnestic treatment can be agreed upon. Interviews continue tomorrow. Perhaps consideration for D-class position? Signed, Dr. Trenton. God, that's the best thing that's ever happened. Okay. Addendum 5175-3. Interview log 2. Access addendum. Access granted. Audio log. Date, October 28th, 2009. Flip up the hoodie. Begin log. Dr. Trenton enters the room where Person of Interest 3445 had been waiting and takes a seat. Ohio, Trenton-san.
Morning, Damien.
That bed sucked.
I'm very sorry about that. We ran some tests on the object last night, and...
On Death Knife?
Yeah, on the knife. For whatever reason, we're unable to trigger its anomalous properties. It's just an ordinary blade.
Well, duh. You can't do anything with it. Hanzo only comes out when I use it. That's why I'm the host. I thought you guys were supposed to be smart.
We figured that out. I was just informing you that depending on the approval from the research head, you might have to undergo testing yourself.
Like, dangerous testing? Don't I have to sign something for that?
Not here. I mean, it won't be anything too bad, just using the object on animal subjects, allowing us to speak with the entity. Don't worry about it for now. You want to pick up from last night?
Oh, right. I was talking about how Hanzo wanted to train me. I tried distracting him with more games because technically I was training competitively, but he started getting super serious. Hanzo only activates when I wield Death Knife, so I threw it in the back of my closet and left it there for a week.
Was this out of fear or apathy?
I just didn't have time to train. It was cool he chose me and all, but I know how to use a weapon. If the situation called for it, I could disarm a man.
Excuse me. What drew you back to the object?
I was leaving work one day and Wait, I haven't told you about Emily yet. She works at Annie Ann's, the pretzel place. She's this really hot goth girl. More like Lydia Dietz than one of those pathetic Ramona Flowers pastel scene kids. Like, she listens to The Cure instead of some shitty pop punk garbage like post-American idiot Green Day. You know what I mean?
No.
All right. Well, I've been trying to talk to her for years now. That's beside the point. I was leaving work and I saw some dude breaking into Emily's car. I went for Death Knife, but I was like, shit, it's at home. It didn't matter though, because I immediately rushed him and started beating the shit out of him. Like, when I get mad, I lose all composure and see red, man. I see red.
Stopped car theft?
I didn't actually stop him. Like, he took some stuff, but I went crazy for a second. He lost 3 teeth, and there was blood everywhere. Emily was so thankful. After that, I realized I need to start training. I had this awesome gift in my hands, and I was letting it go to waste.
Let me stop you. You learned how to handle the knife because you successfully stopped a robbery.
I beat the guy up. I realized I could reach my full potential if I became Hanzo's student.
Are you sure that's what happened? This is a judgment-free zone, Damien.
Yeah?
Carry on.
There's a lot of bad people in this world, and I realized I could do some good with this thing. I apologized to Hanzo for leaving him in my closet, and he took it pretty well. As punishment, he said he was going to be relentless in my training, but he was glad I agreed. At first, we were in the woods behind my house, but I got my dad to help build specialized training devices. Soon I had the whole place loaded with traps, test dummies, and targets.
Your parents, do they know about the entity?
Obviously not. What's the point in having a secret ability if it's not a secret? I told you, I'm going for the full experience here.
Right, I forgot.
Over the next couple weeks, Hanzo put me through the ringer. He's a bit of an asshole, and I disagree with a lot of his teaching methods, but he's improved my ability to fight tenfold, which is impressive considering my natural aggression. I was decent before with a knife, but now I can do some serious damage. If you give me the other knife back, I can show you.
That won't be necessary. What type of training did you perform with Hanzo?
How to throw, basic fighting stances, doing backflips by having him lift me up. I'm pretty much combat ready at this point. You know what happens next. I catch a shoplifter, Hanzo does his thing, and then I'm arrested.
And what was going through your head there? What was the best possible way that scenario could have played out?
I was trying to impress Emily. I made sure to get him right in front of Annie Ann's. Then I remembered it was Tuesday and she was off. I don't know. I just wanted to do something good for once. I've been working here for 8 years. There's a whole mall out there to protect, and I've never done that once.
Interesting. Well, my request to reintroduce the object to you should be approved by tomorrow. Would you believe me if I said this wasn't my first time interviewing an 800-year-old samurai?
Seriously?
No, but I am looking forward to it. Thank you for your time, Damien.
End log. Researcher's note. Request approved. Testing with Person of Interest 3445 and SCP-5175-1 begins within the week. Signed, Dr. Trenton. Oh, I'm going to drink something. We have so much to talk about when this is done.
We do.
Oh, it's just so much fun. Oh, my lord. Okay, here we go. Addendum 5175.4. SCP-5175-1 interview log. Access addendum. Addendum. Access granted. That's what I wanted to say. Audio log. Date November 6, 2009. Begin log.
Sorry about the delay, Damien. Been busy the past week. The tests earlier went well, and let's get the interview underway then.
Fukuda to Omowaniide. Omowaniide. Fukuda to Omowaniide. Footnote that loosely translates to do not think unhappy.
Yep. I'm going to hand you the object, and you're able to act as a translator?
Of course. Our bond is like steel folded 1,000 times, Doctor. Dr. Trenton hands SCP-5175 to Person of Interest 3445. Subject's pupils dilate. SCP-5175 appears, hovering behind Person of Interest 3445. The entity begins speaking in its local dialect as Person of Interest 3445 translates. Extraneous dialogue detailing the translation process has been removed.
Mr. Kuroi-tanken?
I understand I have been awoken for the purpose of questioning. Again, I thank you for returning me to my host. Translated by Person of Interest 3445. Yes. Sorry.
You're good. I only have a few questions. Can you verify the account Damien gave about your soul being bound to the object?
Yes, I can. An accursed girl who has apparently been lost to the ages sealed me away hundreds of years ago. Pay her no mind. I do not wish to speak of her, but know this. It is because of her curse that I am bound to the fulfillment of the land of forsaken suffering. If I do not relinquish 1 million lives to the realm of unsaved souls, I can never leave my prison. This is why I must fight. This is why I require my host.
And has Damien used the object in this way? How many souls has he claimed?
1 raccoon. I told him it was needlessly cruel, but Damien was insistent on seeing how it worked. I didn't believe you. I said I was sorry.
Why Damien? Why choose him over everyone else, especially to the point where you refuse to cooperate with anyone else? Surely there are more capable fighters.
What does that mean? I fight perfectly fine. I sensed Damien's thirst for blood the moment I inhabited the marketplace. His strong moral code, his experience with sorcery. I felt it all, and I called to him. He is the vessel I require to navigate these uncertain waters. Told you. For a while, I thought I had made a mistake. I may be blind in this new world, but I am not a fool. While your knowledge of the arts and cultures of my homeland and mastery in the commonplace magics impressed me, I slowly realized that your simulated games were exactly that. Games. What I interpreted as the heart of a warrior was instead a sheet of sorcery pulled over my head. I sensed something else. The desire to contribute something of worth to someone else's life. Death alone make not a samurai. This is why I stayed with you. I mean, the games kinda helped me. And you even enjoyed them. You liked all the shows we watched, too. That I did. Your conjuring of moving drawings that act as if they were players on a stage has provided me with great insight and enjoyment.
I'm assuming you're talking about cartoons?
SCP-5175-1 brandishes a sword and points it at Dr. Trenton. Trenton jumps back in shock.
Whoa!
Damien insists you refer to them as their proper name. Anime.
Anime. My apologies, Mr. Kuroi-tanken. That still doesn't answer my question.
Because I have not reached that point yet. Damien's fighting spirit came from his resilience and fortitude during training. It was his drive to overcome his desires, to constantly lounge and engage in games all day, that has earned him respect. What I interpreted as fighting experience from his simulated magic was instead a deep, rooted drive to acclimate to a new environment. While Damien may not be a capable fighter by any means, he is an exceptional student and has the heart required to succeed as one. Wow, thank you. That's probably the best compliment anyone's ever given me. You have proven yourself, above all else, to be a worthy and honorable host, Damien Woodcock. I am glad to have chosen you. End log. Researcher's note. Interview continued for another half hour, mostly confirming Person of Interest 3445's claims about SCP-5175-1 and gaining new information regarding the specifics of the object. Forwarding results to research head. There are a number of ways we can tackle this. Earlier testing with the object has proven Person of Interest 3445's incompetence with a weapon, but what you have in mind doesn't exactly require much skill. Dr. Trenton. More water. More water. This is amazing. So pleased. Addendum 5175-5. Project Proposal. Secret Shopper. Access Addendum. Access granted. Project Proposal. Secret Shopper. Dr. J. Thomas Dune. Project Overview. Secret Shopper is an attempt to expand the research potential of SCP-5175. As operating on human subjects is inhumane and resource-intensive, an alternative is proposed involving SCP-Redacted. The primary benefits of this project are the solution to a long-standing annoyance for our personnel, as well as an opportunity to test SCP-5175 in an effective way. Of course, considering the nature of SCP-5175-1, this would require employing Person of Interest 3445 as a specialized Foundation operative. I've already worked out the paperwork with recruitment. Person of Interest 3445 will not be assigned any tasks outside of their weekly operations under Project Secret Shopper, which exists solely to combat the excess of SCP-Redacted-A. Lieutenant Samuel D'Angelo and a proposed small-scale task force under the name Omega-5, codename Damien's Angels, has agreed to oversee Person of Interest 3445 and their assignments. Overall, this would be an extremely limited and controlled environment. I've attached a summarized file regarding SCP-Redacted below. I believe my reasoning will become evident. Documentation. Item number. SCP-Redacted. Special Containment Procedures. All entrances to SCP-Redacted have been sealed. Research is currently underway to determine a method of SCP-Redacted-A extermination. Description. SCP-Redacted is a building known as the Prism Center, a former shopping mall located in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. SCP-Redacted demonstrates zero anomalous properties beyond its ability to create SCP-Redacted-A. Approximately 15 SCP-Redacted-A instances are generated inside SCP-Redacted daily. SCP-Redacted-A are hostile, ethereal figures resembling horned humanoid silhouettes, officially classified as Type Yod Faustian class Tartarian entities. SCP-Redacted-A possesses an anomalous resistance to nearly all types of weaponry typically used in the extermination of similar entities. There are no other discernible anomalous properties of SCP-Redacted-A, providing little incentive for further research. There is no current method of containment for these entities. Usual Faustian containment methods such as occult weaponry, thaumaturgy, and theological invocation have failed. Presently, SCP-Redacted contains 27,375 SCP-Redacted-A instances. Afterward. Despite SCP-5175's short testing window, I have reason to believe the object will be the solution to our problems regarding the rapid and unending creation of SCP-Redacted-A. There have been multiple incidents over the past 3 years involving attempted trespass into SCP-Redacted. SCP-Redacted has long been regarded as a location of low priority, but I disagree. Having this many entities with limited research potential endlessly spawning in one location is a ticking veil bomb waiting to explode. The sooner we're able to clean out the place, the better. Please consider Project Secret Shopper for approval. Signed, Dr. Dune. Notice from Area 179 Director Joseph R. Barrow. Status: Project Secret Shopper, number 057800. Approved. Proposal approved. Please forward all documentation to the appropriate parties. Addendum 51756. Performance Overview. Access Addendum. Access granted. Incident Log. Date: December 25th, 2009. Forward. 2 months into the operation of Project Secret Shopper, Person of Interest 3445 has demonstrated capabilities far exceeding expectations. The change in combat ability from their first assignment to the latest is astounding. The number of entities residing inside SCP Redacted has decreased from 27,375 to approximately 14,000. Visual recordings of these weekly extermination missions are available upon request. The most recent operation, occurring on December 25th, 2009, has been transcribed below as a cumulative performance overview of Person of Interest 3445 and the effectiveness of Project Secret Shopper. Begin log. 4 Mobile Task Force operatives open the skylight entrance into SCP Redacted. They begin to lower themselves to the ground using a pulley system. Person of Interest 3445 forgoes a rope and dives headfirst into the building, brandishing SCP-5175. SCP-5175-1 materializes, holding Person of Interest 3445 by the shoulders and cushioning his fall. Person of Interest 3445 lands upright, directly in the center of one of the mall's water fountains. Several SCP-Redacted-A instances approach. Person of Interest 3445 speaks. Prepare to be vanquished by death knife, bitches! Person of Interest 3445 runs up to an entity and pierces the being with SCP-5145. The entity disappears. Another entity attempts to jump Person of Interest 3445 from behind, but it is stopped by SCP-5175-1. Person of Interest 3445 swiftly turns around and wounds the entity. Lieutenant D'Angelo, Damien, watch your flank! 2 entities leap towards Person of Interest 3445. In a swooping motion, Person of Interest 3445 pierces both of them. The Mobile Task Force team begins to cover Person of Interest 3445, scouting the surrounding area for entities. The team moves into a food court area. Person of Interest 3445 gestures for the team to slow down. Halt! I'm familiar with this terrain. Suddenly, a large SCP-Redacted-A instance bursts from behind the nearby salad bar. Person of Interest 3445 performs an SCP-5175-1 assisted backflip, avoiding the small amount of debris. Person of Interest 3445 reaches the ground and charges the entity. As he pierces the being with SCP-5175, 4 entities drop from the ceiling. Lieutenant D'Angelo, damn it, they're getting smarter! An entity leaps onto Person of Interest 3445's back before disappearing, as Person of Interest 3445 held SCP-5175 backwards in anticipation for the attack. A fitting end for demon scum. And the rest of you? Person of Interest 3445 throws SCP-5175 into the air. SCP-5175-1 catches the object and fires it from its palm like a projectile. The object pierces all 3 entities in succession, causing them each to disappear. Person of Interest 3445. Kuchi no naka de kino shinai, buredo no watashi no aji. Loosely translates to, taste mine of the blade, non-functional in your mouth. With the assistance of SCP-5175-1, Person of Interest 3445 vaults over a gate, rushing a large cache of entities in the distance. Person of Interest 3445 disposes of them with ease. End log. Researchers note, mission continued uninterrupted for 3 more hours. Extraneous portions are available upon request. Number of SCP-Redacted-A instances exterminated during the December 25th, 2009 assignment totals at 666. An intentionally consistent record with Person of Interest 3445. And it's over! Oh my god! I need...
You, you good?
I'm so good! For
I mean,
those
you
of you
did
who
it
don't
justice.
know, my girlfriend Katie hangs out on the couch behind the camera during the streams, just kind of doing stuff sometimes. And this entire SCP, she's just looking at me and shaking her head.
That's an
Which is,
appropriate response.
it's the perfect compliment for this piece.
Definitely.
I have so much to ask, but I need to collect my thoughts. So, do you have any post game for us?
I don't think I do. I think he did a very good job at giving that the best performance possible. That was great. That was everything I could ask.
The only feedback Katie's willing to give me from this is a text message that interrupted my teleprompter for a moment, where early in the stream when I yelled, "Why did this happen on my birthday of all days?" Her response was the Blink 182 quote, "'Cause no one likes you when you're 23."
I mean, if that's the only text message that you got from this performance, I'd consider that a plus.
All right, so my first question, and I meant to ask you this before the stream, but I forgot, so let me know if you want to talk about this or not. This is officially a rewrite, what I discovered while getting the teleprompter.
Yes.
So I want to know about that first and foremost. Where did this begin? Why was there a rewrite? Can you tell me the story of that?
Oh, absolutely. That's definitely the most interesting thing about this. Initially, this was a cold post. This was a really it was something that was not going to survive, and it reached the deletion threshold relatively quickly. And I saw it. People were talking about it in SCPD, and I was like, "This sounds kind of funny." Like everyone was like, "Oh, it's Death Knife in all caps. That's funny." And the way it was formatted was really interesting. It was almost formatted like a script for a informational YouTube video about an anomaly. It was like a D-class personnel approaches the containment cell door. A black shadowy mist comes out and grabs them and brings them into the darkness, where they scream. And then it continued into the special containment procedures. And I thought the format was really funny, and I thought the title was funny. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to see if I can turn this into an actual thing. Because the base anomaly was the same. It was just a knife. It was called Death Knife. And it incorporated some sort of shadow figure. I don't remember the specifics of that. But I sent the PM out to the original author. I was like, hey, you mind if I rewrite this? And I got a PM back, and they were like, sure, go wild. I can't wait to see what you do with it. And that was the original post. So that's why this is a rewrite.
What you have done here is a marvel. Like, first of all, I'm going to go to it here right now because it is currently at plus 93 because I added my upvote while I got it from the teleprompter. And remember, folks, if you're in the chat, if you like any SCP that we read and you can go vote on it because that's nice. But I am marveling at the structure that you have built here, especially because what I'm hearing is that it wasn't much of a structure. So you're saying it's very different than it was before, right?
Oh, 100%. It was I took the basic idea of a knife that was called Death Knife, that had a shadowy figure that emerged when you touched it. That was it. That it was like a 2-paragraph post. And I just took it and ran with it for fun. Because I was like, I really like this. I think this is funny. I want to see what I can do with it.
You worked with me. You had me critique 5466 a little bit. And
yes,
while we were working on that, I enjoyed the hell out of that. And again, like I see this bridge work of the way you build articles and like the way you're placing your reference. I'm learning a lot from you while we do this.
Are you really? Because that's interesting. Because I always say that, and I always say to the people that are willing to listen to me talk to this sort of thing that 5466 was my first real article, and I had written 5 beforehand, and they're all terrible. But that one evolved me as a writer, because everything I've done since that article. Yeah, yeah, and not just literally, but like in universe as well. If you know what's going on in that article, which a lot of people don't, but that's besides the point. But
okay,
all the stuff that I've done.
This is actually super personal for a moment, so feel free to say, Sherman, we're not talking about that. But I do know that you disappeared from the wiki almost immediately after finishing that one, and then came back. Are you willing to talk?
Oh, that was that was a personal thing. That was a moment of not thinking and disclarity, and it's kind of funny because someone did a declassified of 5466, and they put in the comments, they were like, oh, why did Dune decide to delete his account afterwards? Does this mean something? And I'm like, no, that does not mean anything. That was something very embarrassing, and it was not good. It was a bad situation.
Okay, but it had nothing to do with the article and like the wiki. It was outside stuff.
Yes, it was just poorly timed.
Cool, because like that does happen with wiki authors. A lot of us go through the phase where like we get burnt out. We like, some of us delete our accounts, some of us just disappear for a long time. You did that after 5466, and then you came back, and you are the reason that I made the TikTok, which is I look pretty good for a dead bitch. She's alive.
Oh God, was that really?
You were a lot of people do it. It wasn't just you, but you were the thing that like clicked it in my mind.
Right. Okay, because well, I'm proud you got something good out of that. I
know Stonefish has disappeared and come back, I think. I know Hippo has. I know Tanhoney is like, I don't know if it was a stress disappear or just life, but Tanhoney like left and came back. Pepper's ghost left and came back. Sometimes it's life, sometimes it's stress. You leave the wiki for a bit, you come back. And it's like, yay, they're back! I like them.
I caught a lot of flack for doing that. And that was, I wasn't expecting it, and I felt really bad about it. But like, it was something I felt like at the moment I couldn't control. So that's where that was really coming from. But I think it's also important to note that that's not, I hate saying this, but I deleted my account twice. I only started writing in March, and in that time, I deleted my account twice. The first one was because I had a failed article, my first failed article. I was like, you know what? This isn't working. This was terrible. I poured everything into this. I'm done. And then I came back in a week. And then the second time was over a different thing. But yeah, not a fun time. It won't happen again. And that's my statement on that. It's embarrassing.
So first of all, everybody in the chat who maybe isn't part of the wiki and is like, because there's tiers of like, you're involved with the SCP, there's the writers, then there's the voters, then there's the people who watch YouTube and like do art and things like that. For people who aren't part of like the writing culture, this is a pretty common occurrence. And it happens with a lot of artists. I'm going to sympathize and empathize with you right now, because as Katie is pointing out to me, 2 hours before this stream, I had a TikTok breakdown.
Oh, no.
No, it was an hour about the stream, because I put a lot of work into something, and I completely got the rules wrong for what I was making. And so you're writing a play, and I recorded parts for several parts of the play, several characters, and I poured it in. I had costumes, I had the mannerisms, I made these like 3 characters and all of their lines really good. And then I realized that wasn't the assignment. The assignment was to do a one-man show. And so I was like, that was 2 hours of effort, really good effort that I was proud of, and it didn't work. And I fumed. and I got angry, and Katie gave me a hug, and I listened to music for a while, and thankfully, emo music, yes, but thankfully I had this show to get my shit together. So yes, TLDR, we all do this. This is an artist thing.
It is. The reality where 5466 did not get the number of upvotes that it did is not the one that I don't want to live in, because it was a good changing point as someone who went from writing terrible trash articles that are barely skating by on like 30 to 50 upvotes to Death Knife. If it reaches 100, this will be the 4th article in a row where I've cracked 100. So I don't mean to brag about, votes aren't everything, but I definitely feel confident in these pieces to the point where I could talk about them happily, and I like them. I like showing them off. But I can't say the same for my first couple articles.
Eventually, we'll all make it to the point where we're like frickin' Tanhony and Sumerian, where it's like writing SCPs is just so kind of rote in your programming that okay, this idea, this is how I make it, this is how it's going to work. It's not a perfect process, but I feel like they're robots.
I mean, I'd love to be Tanhony. That's the goal.
All right, so everyone in the chat has got a great insight into the mind of artists and writers of the wiki. Let's come back to this piece in particular, because I didn't even tell you the things in the structure I like. So, tearing this article apart, I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, when people on TikTok ask me, what are my favorite SCPs? I list 3 of them. I list 3043, I list 3999, and I list 008-J. Murphy Law, frickin' 3999, and Jeff. And I am actively considering if this is one of them now. I think it's a 4-way.
Oh.
Because
you're so kind.
I love and the only way I can describe this structure the way I feel it is to compare it to Dark Blade. For anybody
you could do
in the
that.
Chat who doesn't know about Dark Blade. Dark Blade is, what is he, 777-J?
Yes.
777-J is Dark Blade. It used to have a fan art of Sephiroth as the picture before that wasn't Creative Commons compliant, and so that's down. But you can imagine that in your head. Because as writers of the wiki who have made articles and done this, you see newcomers come and they haven't practiced their writing and their character, and they're kind of just writing a cool, badass character that they want to be. They want to be this badass who can kill anyone and saves the day and everyone loves them. And that is distilled in 777-J, Dark Blade. You go through Dark Blade's article and you get this description of his ebony arbor that he made himself. His effect on female personnel, which may not even be a supernatural effect, is very powerful. He is described as a, quote, smooth pimp and is totally irresistible. And there's interviews with every one of the old, guard of SCP researchers like Clef and Kondraki and Yorick. And he, bests them and makes them part of his Power Rangers badass team because he's just the ultimate great. And that article is kind of like a distillation of what we see done by people. It's a parody of that badass character that new writers want to write. The self-insert Gary Stu. Katie has never heard the term Gary Stu before.
I only know Mary.
That's a male Gary Stu. So in this case, the reason I love this article first and foremost is because it feels like you've taken Dark Blade and you've made him just a veneer behind this, 2 degrees separated. There's this guy, Damien, who's pretty lame, but eventually becomes kind of good. And he doesn't like want to work for the Foundation and help, because most of them are like, oh yeah, I'm so cool, I'll stay here and I'll help you because I'm just so cool. But in this case, he's apprehended. It's not hard. He's kind of a dunce, but then then it turns out he's useful for like this little side project where we can stuff him and it's actually going to help us a little bit. His action scene has all the like tropes. You know what? Oh, I wanted to say the only thing that I wish was different. My one critique for this whole article is during the action sequence, when he landed standing up, and I wanted a superhero landing.
Oh, with like the hand on the ground.
The hand on the ground, taking one knee. I saw it coming. I was so excited. It didn't happen. It's not even a point against.
That was in my brain. That's what I had in my brain. I literally did not know how to write it in a way that didn't sound like contrived or that I was like forcing words together. Like, what would I say? How do you put that clinically? You know what I mean?
And that's the thing, is there was one action in the action where there was a missing clinical tone that I wanted you to fix up. You used the word "they jumped him," and that.
Oh, do I?
Yeah. It's like early in the log, you use the phrase.
Yeah, I can picture it.
The Dash-A's jumped him, and I was like, that's a little off-brand.
Yeah, I mean, here's my thing with tone. I take liberties with it because my primary purpose is to entertain. And if you could convey the setting and the mood of your story through your tone, I feel like you could take liberties with it like that. As long as you're being entertained by what's being presented and it's not anything breaking to the point where you're like, oh, this shouldn't be on the site. You know what I mean?
Of course. Yeah, and actually, funny story, I'm going to make a TikTok writer's tip about this later. Early on in my YouTube career, I did a show, Critique Lab, Site-42 Critique Lab, where I'd bring on a perspective article and I'd run a full critique of it, so to help it get on the wiki. And one time, the author was a like PhD biochemist. And they wrote this story and it had the most perfectly accurate like jargon that I couldn't read it because I wasn't smart enough.
It was boring. It was boring.
It was boring to read and I couldn't do it. And I told them, you are perfectly correct, but clinical tone for the SCP wiki has to be a little fake. It has to be dumbed down and it can't be perfect. Otherwise, no one reads the studies for the shit we have going on in the world right now.
I couldn't agree more with that. The tone thing. As long as it fits within the little box, the vague box that is clinical tone, I think it works. And in this case, it might not. But thank you for pointing me out to that little section. I'll most likely go and edit it because it's going to bother me now. But
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
All right. And by the way, in the chat, if you can think of a way to clinical tone, quote unquote, clinical tone, a superhero landing, name it out so we have it just in case.
Oh yeah, put that in. I'll fix that up too, as long as someone else does the work that I don't.
Because something like lands one knee and one hand on the ground, knife poised behind his back, something like that. I don't know.
That can work. Yeah, just type it out so I can copy and paste it. Do you want to know?
You guys in the chat try, and I'll talk to him after the stream.
Do you want to know the? Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I want to know whatever it is you're about to say.
Yeah, it was. I don't know what the next question was. I just wanted to mention offhand. Do you know what author specifically inspired this sort of direction that I took with it?
Do I know? Do I want to know? Do I? I want to know because I don't know.
You didn't? Okay. It wasn't that apparent because, okay. This was sort of going in a Cadaver Commander direction.
So
with the focus
I know
on
his
it.
work. I know I've actually read one or two of their articles on the stream, but I don't know enough of their work to be able to tell a tone flavor.
Okay. Their stuff is very character driven, comedy driven, entertaining to the point where that's what drives the story forward. And it's not so much hung up on foundation internals and things like that, but more of taking a fun character and examining it through the lens of the format. And I think I tried to do that here, not to the mastery that they could do it, that he could do it. But I think I pulled it off well in the sense that I established Damien as a character.
Yeah, just you establish it really well because I'm looking at like, okay, we have a mall cop, that's funny. We have a weeb, that's funny. Like we all know this person. All of us know a Damien, someone who was in the military but has anger issues, someone who thinks they're way more competent than they are, someone who's like a mall cop but has a big pompous air about it.
I'll tell you, he's directly inspired, right down to the name, is directly inspired by someone I know, by someone I worked with, a manager. I literally just wrote them into an article.
And somewhere
Everything.
just and yet the thing that I get here, the thing that makes it work, is we have the badass death knife, which the first time it was written went the overpowered crazy way. Okay, we don't want that. And we kick this guy because he's a weeb, but you still give him that little nugget of a heart of gold. Like, he's trying. He's trying to do the right thing. He wants to be good. He wants to help. And that really just makes this a three-dimensional person rather than a caricature.
Right. And when you ask the question about the critique process, I'll elaborate on that a little bit more because that's a really good way to describe the first version of this article.
Yeah, do I have anything else on the structure? So you pulled the myth of the samurai out to justify the ghost and the knife. The references to anime and games, Yeah, I think I've covered my structural sections here. The reason I love 3043 particularly, Murphy Law, is because I'm a huge nerd for film noir. I say, having never seen a real film noir movie, bad movie actor person, but at the same time, Murphy Law isn't based on real film noir. He is, as the Great Hippo put it, a bad D&D character that he wrote into an article. And the character is that the power of his aura turns things into film noir, cheesy film noir around him. And so, just like this character is built on something good, it's three-dimensional. There's a humor, there is a parody, but not an angry, you're not making fun of the weebs, harshly. You're ribbing them a little bit, but that's what you do when you're joking around with something. That's the kicker. That's the kicker. It's that kind parody. At least that's the way I see it. It's you. Mm-hmm. You seem to love these things. You're not tearing them apart like most people would do with an article like this.
Yeah, the first version of this was definitely more in line with the caricature thing. The interview log was cut down to one interview. The structure was still the same plot, the same ending, same project proposal. It's just the interview log was really different because Damien spoke almost in all caps, not literally, but that's figuratively. And they really didn't have any character. I played up the fact that they're trying to be, edgy and cool, and it didn't work. And then I gave it to someone for Crip, and they were like, you know what? This needs to work more traditionally for a character piece, and I changed it. And I'm really glad they said that because I'm really happy with the current version of it.
One trope I'm really happy with, by the way, is I love that you split the first two interviews up. over the course of 2 days, and you justified, okay, he's had this thing for 2 months, we can't just amnesting him out of it.
Yeah.
Plenty of people would use just any magic amnestic that would do the job because it's a story trope, you could do anything with it. But the way you negged that and split it up and told more of a story with it just really brought me into it.
Yeah, I always think about that kind of stuff when I write Foundation, because when I started, I was very hung up on the specifics of like, how does this get done? How can, things justify this? And one thing I noticed with a lot of newer articles is that they're written to serve the anomaly instead of the other way around, if that makes any sense. Like, it's almost like writing an article because you see a cool image and you rate the article around the image. I'll use an example, an anomaly demanifesting or, just teleporting away just to serve plot convenience. I think that's lazy, and I think that's hand wavy, and it doesn't always work because it reads as something that's so common in a lot of articles now that I notice it when I see it. So I don't try to do that. And I'm guilty of it too sometimes, but I don't like doing it.
You said you had something about the critique process for me. Let's get to that.
Oh, yeah. Well, the critique I already mentioned. It was a very different article, and then someone told me to brush it up a little, and then got changed into its current version. This was actually really smooth. I wrote this in 6 days. I want to say 6 days to a week. Usually I take a little longer than that, but this one was very quick. Probably because I was excited to write it. I actually liked writing it. I was having fun.
Excellent, excellent. This question is always for the people in the chat so they can know, because not all of us, in fact, most of us are not professional writers. We are hobbyists. Do you consider yourself a writer outside of the wiki?
Absolutely not. This is the first writing that I've ever done, ever, period. And I can't see myself doing anything else just because I like the wiki and I like doing things for it, and I like adding to it and contributing. So that's just how I view it. It's just a fun hobby.
Fantastic. Did we miss anything you wanted to talk about before we start our wrap up?
No, I don't think so. If you want me to give my favorite articles on the site, I know that was a question that you gave for me.
Yep, that's the final thing I asked. Standard final question. What are your favorite or multiple favorite SCP articles or tales that are outside of your own work?
Yeah, I'll give 3. My favorite still is probably 1981. I know that's such an easy pick, but that was one of the first articles that really hooked me. And I was like, wow, this is cool. I want to try writing one of these. I think it's perfect. It's so like, oh, it's just there's nothing I could find wrong with it. And it's one of the few like older articles that hold up well in terms of reading. Like, I could read it, I could get entertainment out of it. And I know I'm being pestered in the chat to say that all of A12's articles are my favorites. So those are my favorites. But my other favorite, my real favorite, when I don't want to say 1981 because I don't want to look like a casual, and Radgul's article too, and Rad's article, 5203, that's my favorite. But my real favorite article is 3008. Or, I'm sorry, not 3008. Is it 3? Do you mind if I check the number on this one?
Oh, make it happen, yeah.
God, I know. It's, 3084, 7 Strangers at a Feast. Have you read that?
I am unfamiliar with that one.
Okay, that's a Colin article. Colin's my favorite author, so that's easily one of my favorites. I won't say anything about it, but you should definitely go read that. It captures the same feeling that 1981 does for me.
You said 3084, right?
Yes.
Word. Oh my lord, I'm a little sweaty because I'm wearing a hoodie today and it's warm. I gotta catch my breath because I was rushing and stuttering the whole time because I had adrenaline from enjoying that read. Like,
I enjoyed it too.
that was fantastic. Like, consider yourself just like upvoted, man, dude.
Awesome. Awesome.
Ay, ay, ay. Any final words for the audience before we sign off?
Upvote Death Knife and Dune. Upvote Dune.
Upvote Dune. All right, I'll let you sign off. I'll have a little more time with the chat just to catch anything I missed, and then I will sign off myself. You have a good rest of your night, amigo.
All right, thank you. Bye. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. Hope you had fun.
All right, good night.
Cheers. And for yous guys, I'm going over up the chat real quick because that was a rush, and so I missed a lot of things there. Let's go through the chat, blah, blah, blah. Damn, I should leave and come back as a publicity stunt. Lol. We're up to 44 likes. Thank you, guys. That is more than Site-42 likes. You guys are killing it today. Pretty wholesome. The worst is when you work really hard on a TikTok that flops, and then you make a stupid one that blows up. Keats, every week, just yesterday, I put in so much effort on Ultra Instinct Shaggy. I thought of the funniest skit that had explosions and infinite pizza boxes, and I was so proud. And then it got completely obliterated by an offhanded explanation of SCP-956 because somebody mentioned Take Your Kid to Work Day at the Foundation, and I remembered there was a piñata that murders children. And so I made 2 SCPs, one of them super good, hardworking, one of them easy peasy, and that piñata has just crushed all my hard work. And that is not the only time it happens. It happens all the time. So I feel you. Votes are everything. We live for upvotes. An SCP author cannot survive without upvotes. They are a breath. Upvote our articles. As long as you like them, don't upvote them. If you don't, that's called vote frigging and it's bad or something like that. There are rules. Darkblade. I don't want to write that stuff. Probably about Darkblade self-inserts. Thank you. Writing an article or a tale. Just do your writing practice. Start small if you have an idea. Write it down. Try to make it fit like an article. See what you can do. You got to explain the powers. You got to explain the reactions by people. You got to explain how we're containing it. Maybe short story, maybe long story. Do. Cuckoo going down the chat. Paul Blart Weeb Cop with Death Knife. Yes.
I responded to your writing.
Killing in the greatest. Everyone hears you mocking. Everyone hears you not mocking me, just laughing in the chat. You are heard. All right. Ay. That was amazing. Y'all, this was a heck of a stream. Thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you to our sponsor, CellArt, with the playing cards. They are super pretty. If you guys want them, the link's in the description. Thank Dune for coming on. For the first time we had Dune, and he was a fantastic guest. You guys were a fantastic audience. Follow on YouTube, follow on TikTok, like, share, subscribe. Patreon stuff. Whew, I'm gonna go take a nap. The Death Blade took my soul tonight. My soul is in the Death Blade. You guys have a great rest of your day, evening, wherever you are, and I will see you guys in the next Anomalous Broadcast from Site-42. Woo. That's about the time she walked away from me. Nobody likes you when you're 23, but you still act like you're in freshman year. What the hell is wrong with me? What's my age again? I forgot the words.